Guys, welcome. Thanks for joining me. Today, we're going to have an interview with a really good friend of mine, one of my awesome audio buddies from, as we say here in America, across the pond. So, over in the Netherlands, Jaap from Alpha Audio. And Jaap is actually somebody I respect a lot. I've watched his videos. I used to watch his videos even before I reached out to him. And he really was somebody that, as I started my journey and I started doing my videos on Ethernet switches and digital cables and tweaking, he was really the only person out there in the hi-fi world that was I don't want to say doing something similar because he was clearly steps ahead of me, but really made it okay in my mind to explore and to try and to experiment and have fun doing it. So for that, I will always be eternally grateful to him. And he's just a great guy to chat with. I always enjoy our chats. So I'm going to get right into the chat. We broke it into two parts because we ended up talking for almost an hour. And in this talk, we actually name names. We talk about different hi-fi companies, what we like, what we don't like, what we think is working and not working. So we don't beat around the bush. We have fun and we do it and we talk about things. And I hope you'll watch and enjoy it as well. Thank you.
Not true. True. It's about the balance in the system
Yeah, because
and
like even
knowing
we
what
talked about
to
this.
tweak.
My Telegartner switch, it's an $8,000 switch. It
Yeah.
still sounds noticeably better, and there's a 5 meter run from the wall over to the switch. My system still sounds better, noticeably better when I run my magical three $30 switches over by the wall, and then run the 5 meter to my Telegartner. Sounds noticeably better than without those three switches.
Really?
Yes. And the other thing I tried is those switches sound noticeably better when I plug them into a $299 AudioQuest power conditioner that I had laying around that's 15 years old. That's a better sound than if I upgrade the power supplies on the switches and simply plug them into the wall.
Yeah, but power supplies and switches are really hard to match because linear power supplies don't always work on switches. And
And
I
that's what
can
I tried.
actually
Everybody said, oh, it'll be better. It wasn't.
no,
Nope.
no. I actually prove. I can prove it that it's not better
Well, I
because
know you're right because some of the manufacturers are now saying linear power supplies aren't necessarily better. So you're
no,
absolutely right.
um, because a linear power supply will let through all the noise pretty easy because there's no blockage,
Hmm.
and the switch mode power supply actually blocks the noise from coming in or going out because there are diodes inside that
Yeah,
actually block the noise.
yeah, yeah.
The only thing that really works, and I found a linear power supply that does work on a switch, it needs to be very fast. And Pura is one of them. LHY does also work.
Hmm.
It's also a very fast power supply, but the LHY doesn't filter, and the Pura does. So you
Uh,
don't see the noise going back to the grid or coming into the switch,
yep.
and that's where that's the big difference. And all switch modes block it, but most linear power supplies don't block it. So you need to find
And,
the
and
right
and
one.
that makes sense. And so this kind of brings me to my last thought is that
Yeah.
I realized. All right, let me backtrack. I found interest. So when we look at all the reviewers, let's say on YouTube, there are some that are very large that have got 300,000 viewers, 400,000 viewers.
Yeah.
And then there's more people like us, you and I, that I think kind of blaze our own path. And what I mean by that is that we're not reviewing this. You look at the gear that hits all those reviewers, it's always the same gear all the time.
Always.
They all get it at
Yeah.
the same time. And I've noticed two things. I've noticed that, and I don't want to mention names, but some of the
No.
reviewers that a couple of years ago started off at the high end, are now reviewing $500 DACs from China. Okay.
Yep.
And they're saying how wonderful they are. And I'm also noticing brands, and I'm going to call out Macintosh and I'm going to call out Name for this. Name sent a $27,000 kit to a US reviewer who loves, and I'm not saying anything bad about this, but he loves $4,000 Yamahas and techniques and $1,500 speakers, and there's nothing wrong with that. But he gave the Name a terrible review because he's
What?
got no concept of what, and so he continues to bash Name in his future reviews. He literally said in his most recent one that his Techniques receiver sounded better than the Name gear, and
Oh,
don't
come
spend
on.
and so then Macintosh sent them one of their new home theater receivers.
Yeah, I know who he is now.
And he said, "Oh, you're better off buying a Marantz." And I'm thinking, you're missing the point. And
Yeah, I know.
frankly, these manufacturers should know better.
It was with the Macintosh. I saw that video because I recently visited a location with a lot of Macintosh gear, and
Yeah,
I'm not a Macintosh
and
fanboy
neither am I.
at all.
Yeah,
But I do know where they come from.
yep.
I saw some videos from the factory, and I was like, okay, it's hand built, and it's for a certain type of
And they take care of
audio.
their customers. They have amazing customer support.
Exactly. So you can even send in your 40-year-old Macintosh and
Yep,
they can actually fix it. It will
yep.
take a while. They were honest about that as well. So it can take a while, but we will fix it. And there's a lot of handwork on a Macintosh. But like I said, I'm not a fanboy. I don't like all their gear, but I do know who they build it for.
You
They
can
have a
respect them.
certain fan base. Yeah, I do respect that because I like pass slaps. You don't like pass slaps, maybe. I
Nope.
don't care.
Yep.
I like it. It's my system. So respect those people that buy Macintosh because they actually like the gear.
Hmm.
And you have to, as a reviewer, you have to think about that. Like, for whom is it built? Who is their customer? And will they like it? And I saw that review and I thought, God, man, you don't understand who this is for.
But that's the larger point. It's not even a matter of, and I agree with you 100%. You need to understand who the target market is. He
Yeah,
clearly doesn't play in the high end arena, doesn't understand the high end arena. Like, here's his big thing. I hear more hiss out of the and by the way, I'm not a big Name guy either. I mean, they have some stuff that's nice, some stuff that's not. I think their prices are crazy now, but that's neither here nor there. But you need to know who the reviewers are and send it. I purposely with my channel, and I am at a point where I've got several thousand subscribers on YouTube, and I think I'm up to 10,000 on my Facebook or something like
oh
that.
really?
Yeah,
Cool.
so I know these are people. I would rather have a smaller number of people that enjoy the high end and the tweaking like I do, and I can have conversations with them and the comments and this and that, than be 300,000 and have to review $500 gear just like everybody else. That to me is not fun.
No, no, for me as well. I mean, I've seen them grow. I think I know who you mean. There two minds, of course, two names, of course, that
Yep,
are
yep.
up in that region. And I talked with Hans Beekhuis about it as well. He's almost at 100,000, but I don't think he will grow a lot more than that because he's also like us. Like
Yes.
his reviews are in a certain style, and
Hmm.
they're not flashy and fast and
He's
well
very
edited.
factual.
Really, and I respect that guy a lot. I know him for more than 15 years now, and
He's been a
he's always been the
pioneer in
same.
a lot of the ways he does the reviews.
He is actually, and
Yeah.
yeah, he was one of the guys that I really looked up to. Like, wow, you know a lot about hi-fi gear, and we help each other out sometimes, and He's a cool guy.
Yeah.
He got me to the AES convention as well, so I'm very grateful.
I like his videos.
I do as well, because they actually go in depth. You know
Yes.
the product after you've seen the video, and
Yep.
there's a certain target group for that as well. And if you want to go 300,000, you have to go another route, and I'm
Hmm.
not going down that path as well. Alpha audio is not for those people. We are quite nerdy. We do stuff different. We're very honest in our reviews. If I don't like it, you will definitely know I don't like
Yeah.
it. But what I've learned as well in the past 15, 20 years is especially that if I don't like this product, it doesn't mean it's a bad product.
Bingo.
For whom is it built? Who is their customer? Is it
Yes.
good for them? DVLA. I don't like DVLA, but a whole lot of people do, and they couldn't care less if I don't like it
Yeah.
or not. But there's a lot of people that do like DVLA for the style. It's compact. It's easy to use. It sounds good enough, just like Sonos, and that's what they build it for. And if I have to review a DVLA, and I won't review a DVLA, but then I have to look through those eyes and determine if it's good for them. But that's a whole other story. It's about
But
being a
you're right.
reviewer.
I reviewed when I first started. I reviewed a Past Labs integrated, the
Yeah,
INT60. It did not
yeah,
sound good in my system, and this is how I ended the review. I said, "There are so many people that love this. It's an amazingly built unit. Nelson Pass is a legend. I know that it's a system synergy thing. Here's what
yeah.
I'm hearing that I'm not a fan of, but this may work for you. There's nothing wrong with this, but it's just not my personal. It's not working in my personal system at that time, which I think is a very honest review. And I'll never forget. This is really kind of one of the first videos I did. I had somebody who's in the legacy media. He writes for magazines. His first name is Mark. And man, he savaged me. He was saying how you've destroyed Past Labs and you've ruined them. And I'm thinking to myself, first of all, okay, well, now
No,
you've just proven what everybody thinks about many magazine reviewers, that you're all on the take. And second of all, if little old me with my 300 views at the time somehow destroyed Past Labs, then Past Labs has got issues.
oh yeah, then they would have big issues.
Exactly.
No, Nelson Pass would have thought, okay, well, too
Yeah,
bad for him.
exactly. Anyone, I bought it with my own money. It wasn't. They didn't send me anything. I paid for it, and I just think that it's okay to be honest. And I always maintain that so long as, and by the way, there's been two pieces of gear that was such a step backwards that I just decided not to review it. Okay, I just didn't even want to go down that. I didn't want to be
Yeah,
negative to a company, and I'll never, so long as it doesn't blow up. I'll never say, I'll be honest and say it may not be my personal taste, but I'm never going to
yeah.
say anything bad about something so long as it works as it's supposed to. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's the old time question, of course. Like, how honest are you if there are only positive reviews on your website? First of all, there are not only positive reviews on my
Yep.
website. Second, if it's really bad, I send it back because I don't like reviewing crappy
Yeah, I'm not
gear.
here to hurt anybody.
No, also, and sometimes I think there might be something wrong with this.
I agree.
I had streaming systems with bugs in them. I sent them back because it doesn't work, and
Yeah.
it's only a software issue. The hardware is great, and if I review it at that moment, I could possibly damage them. I mean, we're big enough to do
Yes.
damage, and
Yes.
I don't want that. If it's only a software issue, fix the bug, send it back to me. I'll review it.
Yeah.
With pure hardware, I have 3 or 4 speaker systems that I can combine, like your Pass Labs. It could
Hmm.
be a matching issue with
Yep.
with a loudspeaker. I've heard the same with the Focal. The Focal is a great speaker. The Pass Labs is a great amp. They don't match.
Yeah.
So the synergy is important, and I have a couple of amplifiers that I can combine with loudspeakers.
Yeah.
So I have a very easy one, I have a very hard one, I have a very transparent one, and a very easygoing speaker. So if it doesn't combine on all four of them, there's something wrong with the amp.
Yeah, no, and I think, even to what you and I, again, we're not saying anything bad about the isoacoustics. We're
No.
saying in our systems for what we're looking for, it doesn't work. But when I then turn around and say, the RevoPods for me were amazing, and when I
Yeah.
post my video on how I like the well points and how I like some of the other stuff that I'm going to be talking about, if I do a positive review on it, then I'm being honest about it.
Sure. Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything positive about a product that I don't like.
Yeah.
And you can read it in the review of the Inuos Zen that I'm not really happy with it, and that's because I think it's too complex.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very complex product. It's a good product from a technical perspective. It's well built. It sounds incredibly good, but it's the usability. And this is a system that has evolved for almost a decade. So their software should be easy to use.
Yeah.
And there weren't any bugs. It's just choices they made, I think, are too complex for a normal consumer.
Interesting.
And that's what you read. Like, it sounds really good. It sounds better than my streamer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just better in terms of sound quality. But I didn't want to have it because it's just too hard to use.
And what's the point if you don't want to turn it on?
That's it. It wasn't making me happy. Although it sounded better, I thought, wow, it really sounds incredible. I've never heard my deck played so well on
Mm-hmm.
any streamer.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's your only goal, please buy it. It's a really good streamer. But for if I would drop it at my mother's house and say install it and start a track, she couldn't.
Yeah.
She wouldn't be able to make it run.
Yeah.
And
It's
that's not a good
interesting.
thing.
I think, I don't know why this popped in my head, but I'm going to be doing actually, I just shot a short video yesterday that I'm going to be posting, and it's probably going to be controversial and it's probably going to annoy some people. But my analysis was, I looked at getting a different rack because, I've got a $17,000 VAC integrated, a tube amp. And so vibration's important. I've got the Aquila Scalas. I've got anyways, I got a whole bunch of expensive gear here, and I wanted to get a more vibration control rack, but the racks are the cheapest I could find. So to give me like a 2-2-2 setup, 2-level, 2-level, 2-level.
Yeah, that's what I run as
The cheapest
well.
I could find, I think, was going to be like $12,000. And a lot of the other brands, let's talk about Critical Mass. Let's talk about HRS. They're going to be $30,000, $40,000. I got to tell you,
HRS is really expensive.
No way I'm spending $40,000 on a rack. So
No.
my point is that, going back to what I was saying earlier about tweaking the gear, the premise of my video is that I'm better off buying this Timber Nation rack that I know has got all sorts of issues because it's got the maple shelves, and then adding the RevoPods or well points or other vibration absorbing gear. And here's the thing that I'm talking about with some of my ultra high end friends, that just RevoPods and just well points are not the way to go. You want to use them both combined, because the well point is a decoupler, whereas the RevoPods, as you were talking about, drains the energy.
Yeah, draining.
And I'm still going to be into it for 1/5 the price of these shelves, these racks, and I will put that up against any $30,000 rack in performance.
I bought Basso Continuo, just the entry level line.
Yeah.
And they're very flexible in height, so I like that about it. And I put Blue Horizon discs under them instead of the normal discs. That was an upgrade I didn't expect.
Yeah.
It was like, holy shit, this really works. It does. Yeah. And I run them under the TADs now as well, and it's definitely audible. It's like, wow, the bass is tighter. It blew my mind.
Well, and the other thing is, you and I talked about this earlier, is different people can tweak, because there's no when it comes to vibration control, there is no easy answer. There's no
No.
guaranteed to work. What works on my shelf to my gear is probably different than for you. And it allows people to try and find that right magic combo for them for so
Yeah.
much less money.
Yeah. True. At home, I run the active ADCs with what is it called? Yeah, they're spikes with discs integrated. Oh man, I can say it 1,000 times. I forgot, but they're really easy because at home we have a wooden floor, and I wanted to be able to, move them around, place them in the right spot, and I don't want to scratch the floor. So it's like an all-in-one spike. It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
really it's really handy. And the bonus was they sound incredibly good with the ATC instead of the standard ones because I didn't have them in house yet, and of course I wanted to play music, so I just put coins under them. It wasn't really ideal, but when I swapped them out, I was like, "Wow, this sounds a lot better than I expected." Actually,
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
thought the upgrade would be that big, but
yep.
it's really it's a huge upgrade. So
Well, Jaap, I got to tell you, I really appreciate you taking the time and talking to me. Guys, I'm going to link to his site down below again. And I credit you and your site and your videos with, for me, as I was starting to go into the digital journey I was talking about with the switches and the cables, you were really the only people at the time talking about this and admitting it's okay that they make differences. So I thank you for helping fuel my passion to go further into this area. And I love the videos and the site. Everybody needs to check it out. And you really, I love it when you have, I can never remember his name, the man who hears everything that changes.
oh, Martijn, yeah,
Yes, I
yeah,
love watching him as well because he's consistent in what he hears.
yeah, he's a machine.
Yeah, he really is. So,
Yeah, I tried
hey,
to
any
fool
chance you're
him,
going to be at
but
the Florida show in February?
I don't know. It's really expensive for us to fly abroad
Okay, it's going to
to
be
the
much
other.
warmer than where you are.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, the climate is a lot better at your side of the ocean. But I'll try to go to a big show next year, definitely.
Okay,
But I have to save some money to bring some colleagues of mine as well. Uh, yeah, it's just really expensive. It will cost you a couple of grand, and
okay,
it will have to be sponsored somehow. I'm afraid. But in Europe as well, I mean, we wanted to go to the Warsaw show. It's one of the biggest in Europe
yeah,
now.
yeah,
Aside from the high-end Munich, of
in
course, we go
Munich.
there every year.
I'd love to do both those shows. That's my goal. I'd love to do both of those shows.
I'm not sure which one is better because I still have to go to Warsaw, and I hear really good stuff about it. But I missed it this year. It was 2 weekends ago, I think, 2 weeks
Yeah,
ago,
yep.
and I was like, "Oh crap, I didn't book." but, uh, but you have to be early. Like for high-end Munich, I booked last week and all hotels were already full.
Wow,
It's crazy.
wow.
Yeah, it's nuts.
And in
Uh,
March, they're actually going to be bringing the same people who do Capital Audio Fest uh, are going to be doing a show in Dallas, Texas.
that's your hometown.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
sort
a
of.
Texas guy, yeah.
Yeah,
So
you're a Texas guy.
I
Yeah,
think I'm very excited to see what they do there. I've always been amazed that for such a huge state that's right in the middle of the country, that there
yeah.
hasn't been a really big audio show.
Are they big in the States? The shows?
Yeah, Chicago Expona's huge.
Oh yeah,
Capital
Expo.
Fest is a good one, and I do think though, and not to get into politics, but where we see some of the just complete urban decay in Seattle and especially Chicago, where nobody wants to go there for business or anything, I think that will help fuel shows, for instance, in Dallas. I think that'll
Yeah.
help support the Florida show.
Yeah.
I think that you're going to see those shows continue to get larger as
Mm.
people choose not to go to some of these other locations for obvious reasons.
Yeah, it's a in the Netherlands it's coming back again a little bit. but they're not as big as the high-end Munich, for example, or the Warsaw show. So for me, in the Netherlands, everything is close by. I mean, the furthest I can drive is 300 kilometers. That's nothing for you. You're
Yeah,
on the
for me
other
to
side of the
drive
country.
from one end of Texas to the other end of Texas, it's like a 14 or 15-hour drive.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
I will be in the
huge.
south of Spain
Yeah,
by
exactly.
that
I know,
time.
right?
Yeah,
You could
it's
go through
crazy.
3 countries.
I could do 3 countries in that distance. Yeah, it's a little bit more compact in Europe.
A little bit, a little
Yeah,
bit. Well, yeah, you again, keep up the awesome work. I love talking to you guys. Again, I'm going to link to his website down below. You need to like his YouTube channel. You need to check out his videos and his websites. Just
thanks.
so much great information.
Yes. Well, thank you for your time as well, and for your persistency in tweaking. It's I admire your persistence in
I think
terms
it's
of that.
fun. You know, people say,
Yeah.
are you ever going to just be satisfied with your system? I hope not. That would be boring.
Oh, that would be boring. That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's I rather pick up the larger gear than anti-vibration pucks. I don't have I don't know, the patience for that. I think it takes a lot of time to do it
it
correct.
does. Yeah. You
Yeah,
know, for me, it's interesting you say that. So by the time I do the testing, do the video shooting, the lighting,
yeah,
the editing, the
days.
producing of a video, every video I produce on average, other than like yesterday where I just did a 15-minute talk in front of my gear,
Yeah,
it takes about 30 to 40 hours.
yeah. I can imagine it takes days to
Yeah,
do a good video.
it
True.
does.
The live streams in preparations take a week at least.
I believe it.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun as well. And but yeah, either if you shoot a video or do a live stream, it takes a lot of time and effort. And I appreciate your time and effort, and I admire your persistence in doing tweaks, because you do that part. I'll do the other one.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All
Fair
right,
enough.
Jaap. Thank you so much.
Thank you. See ya. Bye bye.
Bye.